Right, welcome back. CargoCultist here. Last time, earlier today, we were working on the chandelier like UAP. And since that has happened, another video has come out with a bunch of high resolution photos, but we won't jump into that now. Uh, I want to tackle the infamous um, this UAP. I'm going to refer to it as the Petal Form UAP throughout this video, just out of respect, um, because there's a bit of a situation that's tied up with this, um, and what I noticed while making this thing is that it had enough sort of like gradienting that hinted to a form that I could bring into this shape. And um, I just want to show how I got to this form. So if anyone sort of comes across this thing, it would be nice to know how I got to the conclusions that I did. Because if anyone wants to do any other sort of experimentation or whatever, in terms of shape or whatever, um, I'm just gonna tell you how I got to my conclusions, I guess. So first up, let's get rid of all this stuff here. So this is basically just the default image that we've been given. So just a weird thing in a void, floating, I guess, looking up. I'm gonna assume, I'm not 100% sure here, but um, and I'm not really sure what the camera type is here, but what I wanted to see is if there is a form that can be abstracted out of this. So, um, the issue with this shape is that it doesn't seem very symmetrical at all. So I was thinking like, okay, is this angled? What's the perspective here? Like, is it actually all perfectly like 72 degrees or something like that? But then there's a perspective shift, or is there different degree amounts within the limbs of this petal form UAP? And what I've managed to figure out is that just coloring all these sort of things here, if I grab this object, and if I rotate it, I don't know what degrees it is, but it's snapped. Um, and basically now we have a line of symmetry down the middle, um, at least closer to symmetry. So this will at least help you understand like of what we're even looking at here. So maybe it's slightly lopsided in both ends, but you can notice now that like the spacing between these things are a lot more even. If you were to cut it down the middle compared to this, where it's just like, uh, and you get the drift. So, um, so if this helps you understand the form a little better, then good. Um, okay, so jumping off that, um, there's a lot of form going on here that I felt like um so if I break this apart a little bit, I know there's a gradient going on in all of these points. And then on top of those gradients, there seems to be some sort of highlight within sort of the edges. Some of them aren't entirely perfect, which I felt like sort of indicated that this could be slightly indented, an indented form, whether it's like a tube that runs like this, for example. Um, Not entirely sure, but it seems like it was sort of flat and then it sort of curves a bit. Um, and then it comes up to a lip here. And the lip seems kind of hard cut, but then it also seems to flow a bit on some time. And so I don't know if it's like a half pipe or something. But what I ended up going with for that was also sort of smooth. Um, and then I've also noticing these sort of like indentations within this area as well. Um, and then on top of that, so just going back to this thing here, there is an obvious sort of pattern here. Well, if you pay attention to this negative space here specifically, um, so I've used up all the colors of the freaking rainbow here, so let's go with gray. So if we're paying attention to this negative space here, we can tell that it's skewing in this kind of direction here. So it's kind of it's a little bit um, more shifted if we were to imagine this in 3D form, because there's a lot more length on this side and there's shorter length on this side, meaning that it's kind of, at least within the way that we rotated this image, it's tilted in a specific way. Um, so that got me thinking about, I guess, the forms a bit more. Um, and if I get rid of this thing here, so that means, at least in the rotation that we rotated it, it seems like it's kind of like curving downwards a bit. Sort of like, I don't know what the sort of exact sort of plane this would be on in terms of like what tilt or whatever, but yeah, it's just something that I knew there was still irregularities within this thing. And I still didn't know if all of these were 72-degree rotations, because 72 is fits 5 times within 360 degrees. But I didn't know if it was actually 72 between all of these limbed points. Yeah, and then also another thing. Also another thing that I noticed was that all of these had a bit of an indentation going on here as well. And then this sort of form, whatever this thing is here, followed through as well. But I'm going to show off my render now. So if we pay attention to specifically this thing, um, I'm just going to draw on top of this. And it seems like um, these kind of curves over over something, at least like this. Like, I don't know the exact sort of thing, but it seems like it's curving over a little bump in the middle or whatever, and then it's like funneling into this sort of center bit here. Um, and then I also tried to replicate these sort of darkened sort of gradient areas and all these things, and it made sense that to me, that at least that it was sort of a indentation within the mesh like this, and it's almost like a spoon, or like a I'm not really sure how to explain it, but it's pretty cool looking, to say the least. And so these are just some other angles of the image that I felt like if you create this into a 3D form, this is what it would look like. Now we can't exactly know what's behind this thing, so it's pure speculation, whatever this thing. But if this is um I'm just putting a flat dome pretty much here, and I don't show it in any of the images. You can feel free to look at the 3D model, which I'll supply either in a link, or you can search up my name on Sketchfab, which is CargoCultist, and you'll be able to interact with all of the models that I've been creating so far. Yeah, so and then we're obviously forgetting the most important thing, which is the light. So this is pretty cool. I don't know what it's for, of course, but it looks crazy. Yeah. Other than that, um, might as well just jump into the higher poly version of this, and yeah, just look around. Interesting shape. Not too much to comment on this one. I think the main thing here is that I was struggling for hours in terms of being able to line up perfectly this background to this object. Um, and I think it's a bit skewed off here, so I'll just jump to maybe a previous iteration. Okay, oh, there we go. So, um, I start with one petal. Um, then, okay, just select one petal. And this has to rotate at correct intervals, I think. throughout the object. And I'm assuming it's 72, but I tried on so many different sort of like iterations, but I couldn't get it to fit. And it could just be due to the perspective locked camera on this program I'm using, but I think I really need to. I don't even think it's possible to figure this out. But it would if we could figure out the camera's aperture and like just the camera settings or something like that. Because the closest I got was 72 in terms of measurements. Let's do 72 test here. Okay. Um, I think it's a bit off right now because I shifted the actual reference image. Um, 1 second. Yeah, all of these are sort of skewed. Um, I've done a bunch of editing, but basically, yeah, this one's kind of close. Yeah, so I think um, this specifically was getting pretty close, and because all of these sort of line up, and these are closer to the, I guess, camera. Um, oh, yep, closer. Yeah, slightly closer to the camera. Like, I didn't know if just a subtle change in perspective with a little bit of change of the camera would make this whole thing align. And if the whole thing aligns, that can mean a lot at least. Obviously, that rules out well, it rules out AI because it managed to create something. Okay, I can't say that it rules out AI because other people will get upset. So it's highly likely, and I doubt that AI could have made 70 like a perfectly sort of symmetrical thing, and then like rotated it just the right amount in 3D space. Like you know, um, but so far I haven't ruled out anything yet because I don't know the camera's position. So all I've been able to do is create the form that I understand or think I'm seeing and represent it in a higher quality. Um, so I'm stumped with that. But you can see here that I have created like just a ton of different um, variants and widths and rotations and slight changes and like I couldn't get it. I was probably going at it for maybe 5 or 6 hours or something like that, just trying to get the perfect rotation. And then like I'm just trying to shimmy it, and it's like okay, that's shit. Okay, time to build a whole new petal, a whole new flower out of all these petals, and then change the increments. But it never felt right. Because I'm assuming that, well, maybe it's a big leap in assumption. I'm assuming it's 72 degrees in rotation between all petals, and then there's a change in the camera's perspective that finishes this and fits the piece within to this image here. Um, and I think that's uh, it's not necessarily like I don't know. It rules out some stuff if you manage to work out the camera position at least. But I think a lot of the recent photos that came out kind of elevates this anyway by a lot. Um, it just elevates the sort of like um, I don't know about credibility, but just complexity. I think within this whole thing. So yeah, um, everything is slightly seen in a different light because of the whole package, I guess, just by a little bit. Um, but yeah, I managed to get um, kind of close with one of these. I think this is the closest one here. Yeah, and then um, I assumed that there was just a perspective shift that I could do that would fit it in. I'm going to supply the models, so if anyone wants to figure out how to fit that in, feel free to go for it. Uh, that's all I can really say in terms of just the modeling of this thing. Looks pretty cool. Seemingly can I don't think it turns on and off, but it was just interesting to see like um this glow anyway. This is an intimidating angle here. Yeah, so that's it. All right. See you around and usual. If you liked it, subscribe and whatever. I really hope that more people get involved in this. The images that are coming out, they're interesting. And so far, no one's really jumping in deeper into the deep end, unfortunately, to assist. And it seems like now people are sort of like dropping their sort of the I don't know the complexities of the situation. They're putting away their emotions, and hopefully now they will approach it more in a analytical way where we can figure out what this thing is. And I would like uh, if you can help out, I reckon. Um, or if you want to just enjoy the show, I guess. But if yeah, just share this around, I reckon. Um, people need to know. We need more eyes on this. And yeah, all right. See ya.